Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Tammy from Homesteading in the City with Tammy. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you've been here from the beginning, I really appreciate you coming by each week and watching the new videos that I put out. This week's video is going to be another sewing video. I'm going to show you how to make a washable, reusable shopping bag. If that is something that interests you, stick around. Hi everybody, welcome. I'm in the kitchen again today. Even though we're not doing a kitchen video, I am using the kitchen as my sewing room because you see in one of the previous videos, my sewing room is under construction. I will be working from the kitchen table. Hopefully I can video this by myself using my tripod because my videographer is not here today and I needed to get this video filmed. I will leave a screenshot of the tools that you need to do this project next, and also I will leave a screenshot of how to cut these out. I'm not going to go through cutting out material again this time. I will just give you the dimensions and how much material you need, and that way you can cut it out. They're just squares or rectangles, as straight lines, so it's not like cutting out a pattern. It's just measuring the dimensions and cutting straight lines. So I figure that's something that you guys can do. You don't need me to show you how to do that. I'm just going to basically show you how to stitch it up and put it all together in this video. In this video, we are actually going to be using strictly a serger. So if that is something that you want to know how to do, stick around so that we can show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bottom piece that has the fusible webbing. We're going to fuse those together, and then we are going to stitch the two pieces together with the fusible webbing on the inside. And we want wrong sides together when we sew this, so that you have a finished piece on the inside and a finished piece on the outside of your bag. So we're just going to run this around the serger and make sure both pieces stay together. Now when you get to with a serger, if you lift the pressure, have the needles up, lift the pressure foot, pull out and turn, you're able to turn the corner. It gives you a nice mitered corner and you don't have to cut your thread. Okay, now that we have the bottom all stitched together, we can just set that aside. We'll come back to that. We're going to do the handles at this point. And basically, you'll take your two handle pieces and you're going to fold them in half. And we are going to stitch this side and down along the side here, not stitching the other end because we have to turn them. And you can press these if you need to. I can usually just, I mean, they're square cut. I just make sure that I finger them together when I'm sewing them so that I can get it square. But if you want to press it, you can absolutely take it to the iron and press that nice and flat, and you can pin it. I don't do a lot of pins because you cannot run over your pins when you're doing a serger. You have to pull them out. And I'm so used to running over my pins with my regular sewing machine that I just forget to pull them out. So here again, I will go here and then I will do the rotate again and go all the way to the bottom, and I'll show you how I turn these and then use the handles and then sew up the end of the handles. These out, I serge it and don't cut really anything off, because the serger does the overlock stitch and it also cuts off the excess frayed there. I only use it to right on the line, so it's really not cutting anything off other than just the fray, because I cut these the size that I want them, and it's not pre-washed, so they will shrink some. But if I did a 5/8 inch seam allowance like they say to do, I'm just wasting material to my point. The serger really does a nice stitch, and it's hard to pull out. It's really hard for it to pull apart. So I don't worry too much about the 5/8 inch seam allowance. And you also don't need to worry about back stitching when you serge, because you've got 4 pieces of thread going through that it really locks it tight, and it doesn't fray out too bad. Okay, and I'll do my other. So the serger does this nice stitch right here, and it is just an overlock stitch that's 4 strands right around there, and it makes it so that this does not fray. It really makes it nice to be able to do these bags with the serger, because you don't have to go around and treat all the ends, the sides of your bag after you put it together or before you put it together. Now, this can absolutely be done on a sewing machine, but you would have to go through and make sure that you did a zigzag stitch all the way around on all of your sides, so that you can easily make them so that they don't fray. Because these are bags that are going to be washed and reused multiple times, and if you don't do that, they're just going to start fraying, and then yes, your stitches will get loose. So okay, all I did was turn the top, and then it's thin enough that I'm able to just pull my material through and turn my stitch or my bag, my handle inside out. But I just stick my finger down in that hole, and then I hold the end of this, and with my thumb I pull this out. And I just and then you can use just a pair of scissors or bamboo skewer, something, or it just fills out on its own. And then I take and once I have that done, I just snip over the end, serge over the end. Okay, okay, now that we have those put together, they can go to the side. Now we're going to take our bottom piece that we just serged together, and we are going to take one of our side pieces. Now, we cut them, the dimensions that you cut them, now they can be cut. This bag is very customizable. You can design it any way that you want. This is the size that fits the best for what I need. So this is the size that I use, but it can go wider, it can go bigger. But you're just going to line up your sides to the bottom of your bag. And you're just going to put one side and we're going to serge that together. Okay. Now we can absolutely do the other side that matches exactly opposite of this and serge that one together on the bottom. Like I said, there's really no directions on how to put this together. Whatever works best for you, you're just serging all of your pieces to the base, and then you're going to go down the corners and serge the sides together. You just have to make sure when you do it that you put them all the same way so that you have everything going the same way. Now when you go to do this side piece, you just want to make sure that you don't go too far into the other corner. So you'll put it right up there at the corner and start there. You'll fill your corners in when you do your sides, when you hook your sides together. And then you're just going to stop when you get to the corner and cut your thread. Now for taking the sides, you're going to fold your bottom back on each other for the corner and get a nice good corner. And then you're going to start with your corner. Make sure you put your presser foot down. Meet your sides up, and you might have to use okay, so once you get your corner started, you're just going to start sewing down to the bottom of to the end of the row here. And you might have to go a little slow so it will go through your end. It's a little thick, sometimes it gets stuck. Trying to do the corners, like I said, you're going to, let me get out of the way. You're going to fold that back on itself to get like a miter corner there so that you have everything straight. When you're doing your corners, your ends, you might have to hand do your wheel a little bit or help it, otherwise you could break your needles. So you want to really maybe put some pressure on your presser foot and also turn the handle till you get past the hard part, the thickness of that corner, so you don't break a needle. It tends to go too fast and too much pressure with the serger that it'll end up snapping your needles, and then you got to rethread the whole machine, and it takes time. So if you just take a little bit of time in the beginning when you're trying to get through that corner, you'll be able to make the corner a lot easier. Okay, so I'll show you the fold again one more time on the corner. And like I said, that's 4. So you now have 6 pieces of material there that you're going through in that corner. So you need to really make sure that the machine is going to take it. And sometimes it's hard, and that's why you need to definitely make sure you go slow and use your hand wheel as much as possible to get through that. Once you're past that corner, you can just start speeding along as fast as you can sew. So there, our bag is put together. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take the top of the bag and we're going to serge around the top of the bag just to finish off so that it doesn't fray. We are going to put bias tape on top of the bag just to be decorative. You don't have to. I've got a lot of bags. I've been using these bags for like 10 years. I have a lot of them that are just serged at the top, and they're fine. But to make it a little more decorative, when I gave them away to people as gifts, I always use the bias tape. But it's just, we're just gonna serge around all the way on the top of this, just to get it clean, and it'll cut off all of the loose ends that are fraying out. It'll cut all those off, and it'll give a nice stitch around the top of it. At this point, you don't have to do the bias tape. You could take that, fold it over, and hem it with your regular sewing machine. The bias tape has to be put on with the regular sewing machine, and so do the handles. So now we're back to where we started. Now that we have our bag all put together, we can just turn it inside out and make sure that turn it the right way and make sure that all of our seams are sealed good, sewn, and there's no holes in them. No, 12 by 10. Sorry, these bags are 12 by 10. So I normally put the handles on the 12 side, and I put them on the inside, and I do it after I put my bias tape on the top, and then I will put the handles, and I usually do it about 3 fingers is what is good for me from the corner, and I will put that there, and then I will do the other side, and I'll put the other one over there like this, and I'll put the handles. Now I will run them through, and I put them on the inside, so they're on the inside. And then I run them through my serger, or not my serger, sorry, my regular sewing machine, and then I just, double stitch on them. But I pin them where I want them, and then I usually do about 2 inches, I believe that is, that I put them down. And that gives a nice size handle when you're hauling groceries, that you're able to stack them on your arm. And you can still have them in there. They're not real tight, but you can have them on your arm, or you can carry them in your hand, multiple bags. So that's how I do that. I will actually show you how I pin the binding on and do the handle. But that would be the next step that you're going to do. Okay, so we have our double wide bias tape, double fold, extra wide double fold bias tape. This is what I use to go around the tops of my bags. You could make something, yep, but this is, I had a lot of this, and this is what I started using. It just made it easy. So you want to pick a spot that you're going to start with, and you're just going to fold it over, and then you're going to pin this all the way around. Oops. Pin this all the way around right on the top. You're going to push your bag right up into the fold, and you're just going to pin this. Let me get my pins here. And then when you get to the edge here, you're just going to fold it down. We're not really worried about corners or anything. And the reason I put bias tape, or not bias tape, in the bottom, the reason I put the interfacing is because it gives it a little more stability and thickness when you're carrying your groceries in it. The sides, yeah, they don't stand up like the bags that you get at the grocery store that will hold stuff, but those ones also are not washable and dryable. These ones you can throw right in the wash, right in the dryer, and be done with them. So you're just going to go around and you're going to pin this all together, and then I'll show you when I get back around to the other side how I cover that when I get there. Okay, so now when I get back to the end here, I'll pin right here, and then I'm going to cut this a little long, and then I'll just fold it over. And then I'm just going to fold it back over like this, and then fold that over like that and pin it. And I'll make sure on the other side that it's not sticking out. If I have to cut this, I will, but a lot of times I can just push it up in there and make sure that it stays up in there when I sew. And if you have to put a pin there just to hold it. Oh, that's thick. Pin doesn't want to go through it. Apparently my pins are dull. Oh, there we go. It was thick. Okay, so then all I do is I usually just do a zigzag stitch because it'll take up more of the space, and I'll just do a zigzag stitch or a decorative stitch along the way, and to do that so that it looks a little nicer at the top of my bag. And once I have it all zigzagged around or stitched around, whatever stitch I decide to use, then I will add my handles on. So I'll put you up and we will zigzag around the top, or my decorative stitch, whatever it is, around the top. I'll decide what I want to do. I have a lot of stitches to pick from, so we'll decide. Okay, now that we're stitching our top hem, or our bias tape on, looks like I might have run out of bobbin. Okay, back again after my bobbin ran out of stuff. So now we're trying to finish stitching the bias tape onto the top of our bag. Okay, now we're getting ready to put the handles on, and I do that, I turn my bag so that it's the right way. Even though we're putting the handles on the inside of this, I turn it the right way, and I put the handles on the 12-inch side, not the 10-inch side. I just feel that it gives me more stability by doing it that way. And I just usually fold it up like this to put my my bag handles on. And like I said, I do about 3 fingers and 2 inches. And I just put it there and I pin it. And then and you can take these to the, you can or you can iron these and they would be nice and flat. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I'm lazy, I don't do it. If I'm doing it, if these bags are for me, I'm probably not going to do it. If they're to give to somebody else, I will do it. But I usually won't do it for just myself. So that's how I pin the bags on. And of course, this one is nice because it has a line across that you know where your ends are meeting at. And then I always make sure that my seam end is in the middle of the bag. And then I can just turn it the next way on the other side and I can pin the other one. And I really don't measure, I just kind of eyeball to make sure that it's in the right about same spot. And that's why I do them this way, because I can actually measure them like this and get them exactly in the right spot on both sides. Because I can measure them like that and then I can pin them. But I usually do about 3 fingers from the seam on the side. And then I just do a cross, a zigzag cross. So I will start over here, I will zigzag across here. Then when I get here, I'll zigzag down to this corner, up and back a couple of times. Then I'll zigzag over here, up and back. When I end here, I'll zigzag back to here, up and back. And I stop the same place that I started. But I do an X pattern, and I do it in zigzag. It just, more stitches for me. I feel that it makes it a sturdier stitch. You don't have to. You can just do a regular stitch. You can stitch up here and you can stitch down here. I just do a zigzag or this decorative stitch, whatever. This is what I like. You can do it however you want, but this is what I like and this is what I feel works really good, and it makes it sturdy. I've never had a bag handle give way on me by doing this, and I've been using these bags for probably 7 years. And this is how I've done all of my bags when I do my handles. I stitch across the top, back and forth, like I'll stitch once, back once, so 3 times, and then I'll come down, go back, come down, stop, go here 3 times. When my third one, go back up, and then I end back up here, and that gives me a good sturdy stitch. That's what I like. Okay, so I'll show you how I sew my handles on. And I just picked a zigzag stitch, and I will show you how I rotate this. So first off, I'm going to zigzag across the top of this. When I get to the end of it, I'm just going to push the back button and go back. And then I'm going to go forward again till I get to this end. Okay, then I'm going to rotate it and I'm going to go backwards at an angle. So I'm going to pull my needle out so that I don't run over that, or my pin. And then I'm backing up, going backwards at an angle to the other corner. So I got to make sure that I put my foot on the, hold the back button down and also the pressure foot. And guide myself back to the corner. I'm at the corner, go back, come forward again, and then go back down. So I get to that, I'm going to rotate to do another stitch along the bottom here. and then I'm going to rotate it to come back up to this corner. And that is how I stitch my handles on. So now you've made your first reusable grocery bag. Good for you. When you wash it, it will shrink up a little bit, but that holds quite a bit of groceries. Down inside there, you got a nice stiff bottom. When you put your bag up, it the bottom will be pretty sturdy. What I like to do is take my handles here and I wrap them around the bars that they hold the plastic bags on, and I'll just take them and wrap my bag handles around there nice and tight, and it holds the sides of my bag up so that I can fill my bag if I don't have somebody with me to hold the bags and fill them. But that's a good way to have them filled. Just wrap your handles around that. But it makes a good size bag, a decent size grocery bag. But that's how I make my grocery bags. And like I said, they're washable. They do shrink a little bit, but I've not had one give out on me yet, and I use them a lot. Well guys, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial for making a grocery bag. I really love mine and I use them all the time. And if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the thumbs up and the like button. And as always, I will catch you on the next one. Have a good week. Bye.